5 p.m. on the clock, which means it's time for the Money Show. And as you can see, we have decided to change our logo a little to revamp things. So this is the same old Money Show where we will be talking about all your personal finance related queries, however, in a slightly newer avatar. I'm Mubina Kapasi, and here's what we have lined up for you on the show. It's the 1st of August, which means that all of you guys out there have just received a brand new figure into your bank balance, and that is in the form of your salary. That's the July month salary. So how exactly is it that you should wisely invest and save this money, and how much should you allocate for spending? Be very careful, be very prudent about that, because that's what we are going to help you do. How to invest your salary in mutual funds, how to wisely allocate it in various investment buckets now that you have newly received your salary. Don't spend it away. Later on the show, we will also, of course, be talking about how to not get trapped in high levels of debt. Remember, we have read the very upsetting news of Mr. V.G. Siddhartha having to take a very drastic step of ending his life, as he as well was inundated with money problems. Don't be in such a situation. And of course, we will also be later in the show finally talking about the TMS Savings Challenge, something that all of us can participate in, and you want to stay tuned as I will be getting you all the details of how you can participate in the TMS Savings Challenge. Lined up all on the Money Show. Today, we decided to speak on what should you do with that salary income that you have just received. I'm sure yesterday all your phones must have received a text message from your bank saying that your company has credited XYZ amount into your bank account, and you just can't wait to blow it all off this weekend. Well, don't. Or at least if you want to do so, do it very, very wisely. So what exactly is it then that you should be doing with that newly received salary? How should you wisely allocate it between emergency funds, between investments, savings, and of course for spending? To talk about that, we have with us Mr. Pankaj Matpal of Optima Money Managers. Mr. Matpal, thank you then for joining in on the Money Show. It's a pleasure having you with us. You know, it's very tempting, right, to get into this entire lure of spending your money, especially since you have just received your salary. And of course, coincidentally, we also do have our weekend that's upon us in just a day from now. So Mr. Matpal, let's start off with the do's. Very quickly, what should our viewers do then with their salary once they have received it into their bank account? The first step.
See, usually what happens, people first spend and then whatever left, then they think of investing that. But the suggestion is that first you should save and then invest. That is the only mantra that you say.
Okay, you know what? There was just a bit of a technical issue, I suppose, perils of live television. Okay, yes, I think we've been able to reconnect with Mr. Matpal. Yes, Mr. Matpal, you were talking about the common mistake. People tend to first spend off their money, and then whatever is left, they want to save that. So continue with your point.
Yeah. So what happens, usually that is what people do. But my suggestion that if you really want to make money, you want to create wealth, the first thing you should save money. Some 30% to 40% should be the target for saving. You should save that money and then invest that wisely. That is also very important thing. So this can happen once you write your budget. There are so many choices available. There are so many reasons for you to spend your money. You always want to buy new things. You want to spend money for the luxury. But the most important thing, you have to understand for future also you have to save something. So understanding that, write your household budget. There will be some things which are very important. You cannot reduce those expenses, but there are some expenses which are not so important. So when you write your budget, you identify your needs and wants, that whatever the must, you have to spend money for that, but then you save money. And if something is left for enjoying money, something is surplus, then think of buying which you are planning. But writing budget will only help you to save money. So as I said, first thing, decide that 30% minimum you have to save your money for your future goals. Once you write your budget, your household budget, then you know that what are the expenses, and in your budget this investment should also be a part as an expense. Means you have to keep a provision for that saving, that for what you are saving it. Then comes your financial goals. Write your financial goals on a piece of paper, decide that for how long you can stay invested, for what goal you want to invest. It will help you identifying the right investment schemes and assets.
Well, fair enough. Like Mr. Matpal said, ensure that you first save and then spend and not the other way around. That could be a very crucial mistake that you could be making when you want to create wealth for the long-term time horizon. And more importantly, distinguish between needs and wants. You should not be reaching a juncture where you have ended up buying what you don't need, and then later in life, you have to sell what you need to pay for what you don't need. That should not be a situation where you should ever reach out in life. Mr. Matpal, I also do want to ask you that you mentioned here the power of compounding, and this is something that we spoke of earlier as well. Yesterday, something that we spoke about this, that even a 5-year delay can lead to you having to save more money to reach the same amount of corpus at a particular time. So if you could explain that to our viewers, how starting now, investing now, in starting your investment journey now is very, very important, because even if you started 2 years later or 3 years later, it could prove to be quite expensive.
Yes, Mubina, it is very important to understand, because this power of compounding is very powerful. See, what happens usually, we think that everyone knows that for future financial goals you have to save money, but due to inflation the value keeps reducing. So when you want to plan something like, for example, for retirement, if it is 20 year, 30 year down the line, you will need a big amount for this. Now when you say big amount, now saving for that or accumulating that amount becomes difficult when you have lesser time. But if you start early, say for example, if you have 20 years time and you want to accumulate 1 crore rupee, and assuming that returns are 12% CAGR, you have to invest some 10,000 rupees per month. But if you just delay by 5 years, so to accumulate the same amount 1 crore rupee in 15 years with the same kind of returns, you will have to invest around 20,000 rupees. So delay of 5 years cost you double, and if you further delayed by 5 years, means 40,000 rupees every month, then which becomes very difficult. And when you have a longer horizon, one thing, as I said, that same amount you are investing for long term, but you can top up. Even if you are starting with 10,000 rupees, you increase every year by 10%, that will help you even accumulating the more amount. So that is why when we want to take care of inflation in long term, we have to start investing early, so that because of power of compounding, you are able to achieve your target.
Well, yes, like I said, every year of delay can really be costly for you, because you're missing out on the power of compounding. Start investing now, especially now, because you've got that nice meaty chunk of your salary that you have received. So what are you waiting for, folks? You have the money, just go ahead and contact, your closest mutual fund broker or distributor and start your investment journey. Of course, we on The Money Show are always there to guide you as you kickstart your investment journey. We will always be there to give your portfolio a relook. So we are going to do just that in a bit. Ask The Money Show is the segment that we will be kickstarting. And of course, for all our viewers out there, you can always call in 24990388, or you can email us on themoneyshow@etnow.tv. Although calls are preferred, we can instantly get it answered by our money management experts. We will just kickstart that in a bit. But Mr. Matpal, one quick question. What's the most common mistake that, our individuals out there who may be earning a salary, who've just got their money, what's that one mistake? You mentioned obviously spending it all away. That's the most common mistake. But any other mistakes which you believe that our viewers could be making and, are missing out on when they get that chunk of money from, their salary?
Yes, the mistake what people make is not setting the financial goal. So when they save also, they invest without having any target in mind, and then what happens that because there is no financial goal set, any moment they withdraw their money. So because as I said, there are so many reasons for you to spend money. So whenever the money is available, they invest, but because there is no goal set, after some time they redeem that money. So first and foremost thing is that you should set a financial goal, whether it's short term, medium term, long term. Usually people say that they want to create wealth. So creating wealth everybody wants, but for what? What you want to achieve with this wealth? So that target should be set with a time horizon. That is very, very important.
Okay, ensure that you're properly setting your goals for which you're saving money. That will ensure that you too stick to the timeline, stick to investing your money, or else you'll just be very free with your money and you're just going to end up withdrawing it as and when on a need basis. However, if you decide that this is my retirement kitty and this is the kitty for my child's education, then mentally as well, you will know that this is the money that you are not under any circumstances going to touch. So very important to do goal-based financial planning. You could even do it as a matter of fact that this fund is specially for my daughter's education, this fund is specially for my retirement. This is as well a method that can be adopted. For now, we will, like I said, take up questions and queries from our viewers. So reminder, our phone lines are open 24990388 and we will be taking questions right now, asking Mr. Pankaj Mathpal for his view. First, let's bring on board the email query that we have received. Vinayaka Pavatpala, he says, and it's quite a exhaustive question where he has covered every, he has covered every rule that's there in the financial planning book. He says he's 35 and he's accumulated a decent corpus by investing in various funds. The current portfolio will come up for you in just a bit. So in the MF portfolio, the SIP amount is roughly 24,200 and he has put it in the Parekh Long-Term Equity Fund, Kotak Emerging Fund, HDFC Small Cap Fund, 5,000 each. There's also a small cap fund of HDFC, like I said. In the PPF, I think it's just 1,000 rupees. The Provident Fund has 6,000 and LIC scheme has 3,200 rupees. So this is roughly what his portfolio is looking like. And it's very important to note that he has properly aligned his goals. So there's child education, 13 years, where he thinks he'll need 50 lakhs. Marriage in 22 years, he'll need 25 lakhs. And of course, retirement, he'll need 2 crore rupees. So Pankaj, I suppose, like I said, he has ticked the right boxes in the rule book of financial planning by properly, setting the goals. Now, his first question, let's take all the questions one by one. You took a look at his mutual fund schemes. Do you believe that this portfolio is fine? Does it require any changes, Pankaj?
See, only thing is he has higher allocation in debt than the equity because this insurance policy or PPF, PF, these all are fixed income instruments and there is limited scope of wealth creation. So he'll have to increase his investment because he has long-term time horizon. Considering that, I'll advise that you should have more allocation in equity schemes. That is the only thing because you have set the goals, the time horizon also. But considering that if you expect some 8% returns, that also taxable in most of cases. So in that, though PPF is tax-free, PF is tax-free and insurance policy also will be tax-free for you, but returns are very limited. So considering that fact, I'll say that you should increase some investment. That is important.
So maybe there is too much exposure to the debt side or the fixed income side, your PF, PPF, while they are safe, it's still relatively the safer ones. And you're 35, you're young, you have age on your side. So why not, of course, go in for a little more riskier assets, which can have the potential of giving great returns. But otherwise, it's great to know that you have properly set your goals. Also, he wants to know about the HDFC Small Cap Fund. He wants to know if he needs to switch because he feels the fund size is more. Okay, Pankaj, how would you recommend him go about this?
See, though the performance has not been very good for this scheme, but still I will not say because the size is big, but the reason that you don't have a mid-cap fund in your portfolio. So my suggestion that you should reduce exposure in HDFC small cap fund and you should add one mid-cap fund in your portfolio because you have a multi-cap fund like Parekh and large cap also, pure large cap fund you don't have in your portfolio. So I'll suggest that in long term you should have a diversified portfolio. ICICI Prudential Blue Chip Fund or Aditya Birla Sun Life Frontline Equity Fund could be a good choice. So one large cap fund you should add, and if you want to increase your exposure in mid cap, that you can do. So reduce your exposure in small cap. That is my suggestion.
Okay, it's always good to have a nice mix based on capitalization in your overall fund. You don't have a large cap fund, try and include that, an index fund. ICICI Prudential is one that Mr. Matpal has recommended. And the only reason why Mr. Matpal is asking you to trim your small cap fund is so that you can replace it with a mid cap fund. So that will properly, distribute your SIPs among various capitalizations. And question number 3, it is the eternal question of life, and that is that Vinayaka has a housing plot with a 15 lakh rupee loan outstanding. He has managed to accumulate 15 lakh rupees, and now he wants to know whether he should pay off this loan or should he buy more mutual funds. Mr. Matpal, we've been asked this question very, very often. What happens when you get that sum of money? Should you be paring down debt or should you be putting it in more wealth creation instruments? How would you help him out, Mr. Matpal? I think we can safely assume that this is the only debt that he has.
See, usually we always suggest that you should be debt free and you should repay your debt first before investing. But here, because as we understand, it may be a limited thing, it is the only debt in his portfolio. So I'll say that he can reduce this debt but should not repay the full amount because you need liquidity as well. Now what happens, as of now you are repaying your loan, you have a loan available with you, but tomorrow if you repay the loan and you don't have liquid assets available with you, it is not easy to sell the plot so easily. So my suggestion that you can reduce your loan, but you should also have your investment in mutual fund so that in case you need in emergency, you want the money to withdraw, that is possible. So having said that, my simple suggestion that reduce but do not repay full amount, have some liquidity with you, invest in mutual fund, have a very diversified portfolio which will create wealth for you, as well as whenever you need money, it will be available for you.
Because debt is always not a very good idea to have on your books. Yes, sometimes it's inevitable, but ensure that you try and keep it within that manageable level. Zero debt is of course the ideal situation, for you personally. All right, Vinayaka, I hope we've been able to answer all the questions and queries that you have sent us. And now let's move on to the next question. That'll come up for you on your screens in just a bit. And it's Amit who has sent in a question. He says, Prayag, pardon me, has sent in a question. He says, I'm 33 years old and want to create a good corpus to meet all my goals. Okay, he has not mentioned what his goals are, but since he specifically said goals, we can assume that he may have something in his mind for which he wants to save. He's taken a term plan from Max Bupa 2.5 crores, a 20 lakh HDFC Ergo Health Insurance, and he has started a monthly investment of 42,000 via SIP in direct growth funds. That's a big thumbs up, direct growth funds. But has the fact that he has directly invested in these MFs led to any mistakes in his portfolio? Let's take a look at that. Just a reminder for all our viewers, direct funds are basically where you do not go through a broker or a distributor and you straight away buy the fund yourself. It does tend to give better returns as opposed to non-direct funds. This is something you should keep in mind. Reliance large cap fund 10,000, a multi cap fund of 8,000, a blue chip fund 7,000. There's a small cap fund as well. There's the ABSL tax relief fund and there is an NPS. A good mix seemingly of a large cap, a multi cap and a small cap fund. There is a mid cap fund missing. But you know what's interesting to note is that he has properly allocated each fund to each goal. For example, the large cap fund has been allocated for 12 years when he wants to buy a house. Then we have the multi-cap fund that has been allocated for his children's education. And then there is the small cap fund that has been allocated, or rather the Mirai Asset Emerging Blue Chip Fund for retirement, so on and so forth. So I think it's very interesting to note that at this young age of 33, he has his objectives, his goals, his finances very, very clear-cut straight. The question is, Mr. Matpal, firstly, is there any chops or changes that you would recommend in his portfolio which he has so carefully crafted?
See, he has selected very good schemes. He has a mix of all kind of schemes in the equity, as well as goals are set. But only thing, as you also mentioned, mid cap is missing. So my suggestion is that he should either increase the amount in the Kotak Emerging Equity Fund, or he can add another fund like ICICI Prudential Mid Cap Fund, but he should have more exposure in mid cap. That is very important. And as he has mentioned that he will increase the amount every year by 10%, so it will help him achieving his financial goals. Everything is correct. Only mid cap fund he should add in his portfolio. That is my suggestion.
Okay, just add a mid-cap fund, but I think, folks, it's important to note how, Prayaga had essentially crafted his portfolio. He had kept aside one fund for each goal that he wants to achieve. He set a timeline, he set a corpus as well, and it was something that all of us do have in terms of life goals. You're talking about marriage, child's education, for your child's future, you're talking about retirement, and he has properly allocated each fund, to each goal. So I think this is something that we very rarely get to see. He's properly said that he's going to step it up as well by 10% every year. So I think kudos to you on that, and we wish you all the very best for your investment journey. On that note, Mr. Mathpal, just some closing comments from you then, some words from the wise. If you have to leave our viewers with some money-making tips, what would you tell them?
Two most important thing, as one we discussed the setting financial goals, that is important. Second thing is diversification of portfolio. It is very important. People do not diversify the portfolio, just seeing the past returns. You either over invested in equity or debt, or sometimes you have seen that only in gilt fund you have maximum investment because past returns have been good. So my suggestion, keep your portfolio diversified and set your goal before you invest.
All right, those are some important lessons that everybody needs to take note of when you start your investment journey. Okay, we have a call actually coming in, so I'm going to request Mr. Mathpal to stay on. Mr. Samuel George from Kochi is joining us on the phone line. Hi Samuel, good evening. What's your question?
I'm Samuel, I'm now 24 and I have made an amount of 20 lakhs by my savings. So.
Okay.
And I have a very aggressive,
a target?
Making it a target of making around 100 crore rupees. So
okay.
I would like to know which all sectors or which all share or which type of investment I was looking, or what time period I should be looking at.
Well, it certainly is very ambitious, Samuel, and I hope you're also, of course, going to be actively working and not expecting just this 20 lakh rupees to magically become 100 crores, because it is extremely difficult unless you've really hit a lottery by investing in one particular share price. And Pankaj, who wouldn't want that, right? 20 lakhs becoming 100 crores, I suppose, but it's something very difficult. However, to help him kickstart his investment journey, he's managed to save 20 lakhs by the time he's 24. So that's, I think, a job well done, and kudos to you for that, Samuel. But yeah, how would you help him kickstart his wealth creation journey? And maybe if not 100 crores, then maybe somewhere, warmer amount, perhaps.
Definitely. See, for wealth creation, equity is always helpful. We have seen that in long term, equity has potential to create wealth. So diversify your portfolio, keep large cap, mid cap, small cap, every kind of equity scheme in your portfolio. Like ICICI Prudential Blue Chip Fund, I will suggest in large cap. In mid cap, Kotak Emerging Equity Fund, you can have in your portfolio. Small cap, SBI small cap is my recommendation. So have a well diversified portfolio, not too many schemes, and stick to your investment. Invest in a staggered manner. Though you have 20 lakh available with you, but markets are volatile, invest in staggered manner through STP route. Park that money in liquid fund. From liquid fund, the money will keep transferring every week, every month, whatever you decide, from liquid to equity. It will help you taking care of volatility.
Pankaj, I just, since we have Samuel asking this question, should your financial goals as well be perhaps a little more realistic? Because of course, sometimes people expect equities and mutual funds to work like magic. They tend to invest very aggressively, especially in individual shares, and then they end up losing all of their money. We have 100 stories like that as well of big, wealth eroders in terms of individual shares, of course, not equity mutual funds. How should they be cautious about falling into such traps, of getting attracted, by some Ponzi schemes and expecting some very magnanimous
Exactly. See, you should be very fair in your expectation. It's not realistic that 20 lakh investing and expecting 100 crore. See, everybody wants that, but is it really possible? So when you invest in equity shares or equity mutual fund, your see, it may happen that in 1 year your share price may double also. You may get 100% profit. That may happen in mutual fund, but how many times? So average return you should expect some 12 to 15% only. So based on that, you should have a longer time horizon and have a fair expectation from your investment. Otherwise, this is what happens, that you will invest for few years. After that, your expectation does not meet, you will redeem it. So try to understand that equity market does not mean it's a magic, but yes, it has potential to deliver better returns because you're investing in a business where there is a unlimited potential. But still, I'll say your expectation should be something like 12-15% from equity market. Otherwise, sometimes we have seen that people invest maximum in small cap only. When we see during a rally in the market, small cap have outperformed, everybody invested in small cap. And when in last 1 year small cap has come down to 18%, means they have lost 18% from the profit. So this time people are asking that whether I should stay invested or I should redeem it. So my suggestion that have a diversified portfolio, have large cap, mid cap, small cap, everything in your portfolio, but have a realistic expectation from your investment.
This is a lesson for everybody. Thank you then, Mr. Mathpal, for joining in and sharing your words of wisdom with all our viewers out there. Like I said, you've just received your money. Now invest it wisely. And we on The Money Show are, of course, to give you advice on just that. So we decided, let's get you an entire menu of all the investment options that are available to you that you can invest in. And let's compare the returns as well as the risk that is involved by investing in various instruments. There you have it, an entire option or a bouquet of investment options available to you. The most simple and plain vanilla is an SIP in equity mutual funds. Suppose you get X amount of your salary yesterday credited to your bank account. You could also give a simple instruction to your bank that transfer maybe 10% of the salary to my SIP. Of course, the return will be variable and the risk can be moderate to high. So make sure that you are aware of the risks involved. A debt mutual fund is still relatively a lower risk return, compared to equity mutual funds, but the return may not be as much. And again, important to note that both of these are market linked. Finally, real estate. Again, something that's very, very variable, and not to mention at this point of time, realty seems to be pretty unaffordable if we have to compare it with income levels. However, prices have dropped, there's abundant inventory, so if you do have some spare cash lying around, you could consider real estate as an investment. Risks are moderate to high, but it is a great source of earning passive income in terms of rent. Gold. This is, of course, a safe investment, moderately low, a very favorite of all our Indians, us Indians at least, in the form of jewelry or bricks. Again, returns can be variable. A public provident fund, very popular, of course, among individuals who are salaried, and this is something that can provide returns of 7.9%, which, believe you me, is quite impressive, especially at a time when the RBI is cutting rates. This one is risk-free, not to mention it comes with a whole host of tax benefits as well. Fixed deposits, your plain vanilla fixed deposits, which you will get at every bank. Currently, the average interest rate is between 7 to 7.5%, but that will depend on which bank you're going to. And remember, this is just your 1 year duration, which means your money is locked into the fixed deposit for 1 year. The longer the duration, the higher the returns may go. Risk is low. There's the National Pension Scheme as well, where there's moderate rate of return and risk, and not to mention, again, tax benefits. And then, of course, the most lucrative senior citizen scheme. However, you'll have to be above the age of 60 to be able to avail the benefits. 8.6% is the kind of returns you can earn in the senior citizen savings scheme. So there you have it. It's a whole menu, and believe me, there are lots out there. Do contact a personal finance advisor. We will unfortunately not be able to show all of them due to the constraints of time and perhaps also the constraints of this plasma screen. For now, we will take a very quick break right here on The Money Show. But when we come back, we are going to be talking about the perils of living in debt, especially with a very, very disappointing, upsetting story that we have just heard. More on that when we return after this very short break. Welcome back. You're watching The Money Show right here on ET Now. Today we decided to take upon a topic that is something that has literally been the reason for some very upsetting news. And that is the death of the coffee king, Mr. V.G. Siddhartha. Unable to break out of the shackles of debt, Mr. Siddhartha had to take a very, very drastic step. Whether or not it was required, whether or not he had no easy way out is a question for, of course, some other time. But this clearly is a lesson for each and every one of us on how we should not be so trapped in debt that makes us as well believe whether life is worth living. It is certainly a question that one must ponder about. However, on The Money Show, we at ET Now always want to give all our viewers lessons out of such important and unfortunate situations that transpire. So we decided to talk about how one can get out of the debt trap, how one can redeem themselves, and that too at an era when credit is so easily available via online lending options. Even if you don't have a credit score, you can borrow money. But is that a financially healthy practice? To talk about that, I have with me right here in the studios Nikhil Kothari of Etika Wealth Management. Nikhil, thanks so much for joining in on ET Now. And I'm sure you as well and your team must have read that very upsetting news. The cause was, of course, debt. The money is being borrowed, the inability to be able to repay it. So this is, of course, a big learning lesson for all our viewers, especially the younger ones who have higher aspirations but don't have the money. And then, of course, the whole Western culture of buying now and paying later. How hazardous is that for one's financial health?
Yeah. So I'll just give you a brief. 20-25 years back, we started with home loan EMI. And then people used to laugh at that, who will take a loan for buying a home? And today we know that from home loan, we move to consumer durables, we move to car EMIs. And today, if you buy anything in this online, you have EMI option. So today we are literally buying jeans also in EMIs. So everything is on EMI, which looks very simple that, okay, I can pay it later, I will buy today. But the only thing which you have to realize that when we keep on doing that, at some point of time, the EMI becomes such a big component that maybe 70, 80% or 90% of your take-home salary. If the EMI becomes that big, then you are struggling with daily expenses and then you fall in the debt trap. So idea is that you should always make sure that EMI is just a facility given to you to make sure the transaction happens smoothly, but doesn't mean that you buy everything on EMIs. Your EMI should not be more than 35 to 40% of your overall take-home salary. So make sure that whatever you're buying, to make sure that that EMI component is not exceeding the beyond than limit. And I'll start with a very simple mantra one can follow, is that what Warren Buffett say is that what you spend, okay, should be after your savings. Okay, what we all do is that we earn, we spend, then what is left is saving. If we just reverse this thing, that we earn, we save, and then what is left is spending. If we follow the other mantra, all our goals in life can be achieved and we can be living very, very peacefully. But because we follow the other pattern where we earn, we spend, and we don't have any control over spending, we keep on swiping our card, and after later years we realize that we don't have any saving in our bank account, and any unfortunate event happens, that we are out of jobs, or or say if the interest rate goes up, or we get any emergency requirement, and then we are not able to repay the money, and we have to take unnecessary loan, and because of that we fall in debt trap.
So Nikhil, then when is it necessary to take a loan and when is it not? I mean, what are the questions I should ask myself when I decide, hey, I want to take a loan? I mean, before actually I decide to take the loan.
So there's something called good loan, and there's something called not good loan or bad loans. Okay, what are good loans? If I want to buy an asset, say for example I want to buy a house. Okay, that's a big an asset. So for buying a house, you're taking a home loan. That's a good loan. Okay, if you want to go for higher education, then if you're taking an education loan, that's a good loan. Because in home loan, the good thing is that you're creating an asset. That asset will be used over a period of time, and you're saving on rental, and you're using that rental expenses to pay the EMIs. In case of education loan, you get a monitoring period that you can save for. You don't have to pay any interest for next 2 years, and once you get your education completed, you can pay back when you get a job. But these are two good loans because you are creating an asset, so that's a good loan. What are bad loans? Bad loans are something which you use for lifestyle. Say for example, I want to go for vacation, and for that I take a loan. Right? So that's not an asset, that's an expenses, and you're unlessly creating a liability on that. Or we take a car loan, okay, luxury car loan. That's also car is not an asset, it's a liability, right? Because it depreciates over a period of time. So after 5 years, the value of car is nil. But you have a debt, you have a huge expenses to be paid. So try to identify that which are good asset or which are asset, or which is a good thing which you should take a loan, which is education loan, but try to avoid which is a lifestyle thing, which is not a need, which is more a want.
Yeah. So I think that's where the whole distinguishing between need and want as well comes in. I mean, taking a loan for a want, I think, is an absolute no-no then, isn't it?
So there's no end to want, right?
Yeah.
So today I need say today I can start with a Honda City, tomorrow I may need a BMW, right? So the want doesn't end over, but I need a car, a decent car is good enough. That's a need. But because we can't differentiate between need and want, and most of the time millennials fall in the want category. I want this, I want this, I want this. And because of that, EMIs, because all these things are available at EMI, so we believe that, okay, it's good to take an EMI and I can pay later. But the problem is that because when we keep on doing that, the amount of loan increases far more beyond our capacity to repay. And that's where, and it's unnecessary losing two things. One is that it stops your capability to do anything extra. So if you want to do something, really opportunity comes up and you want to take up that opportunity, you can't take it because you have so many EMIs to pay off and you can't leave your job also. Right. So I think debt is a very, very big handover to become an entrepreneur. Because if you have so many debt, you can never become an entrepreneur because you need a fixed salary coming in. And as an entrepreneur, cannot get fixed salary. So what I'll say, if you want to become an entrepreneur, it's good that you keep your debt as low as possible, because if you have some saving, you can use that saving to pay off your debt and start doing what you want to do in life.
Okay. You know, also, if I do take on so many EMIs, like for example, for my mobile phone or, you know, for my consumer goods, etc., how does it also hamper my credit score? Is there any difference?
So if you're paying your EMIs on time, there's no problem with the credit score.
Okay.
Okay, so credit score will be good. But if you say most of the time, what is the problem is that we pay the minimum amount when it comes to credit card. So credit card gives you two things. One is the outstanding balance and the minimum amount.
Right.
We think that minimum amount is good enough to pay right now, and then I can pay the outstanding amount later. When you only pay the minimum amount, the problem is that from next month, the interest is not only charged on the new purchase what you're doing, but also what is the outstanding balance, you're paying interest on that.
It'll just avoid the penalty, I believe, but you will still be charged interest.
You will be charged interest on that. And the interest is as high as 36% per annum. So effectively, if you don't pay the money in next 1 year, in 2 years, you more or less you will be doubling of what you are paying that. So it's a huge expense which you need to pay. So make sure that you don't pay the minimum amount, you pay the full amount. And if you pay the full amount, then there's no problem with that. So there's no problem with the credit score. And if you delay by 1 day or 2 days, and if you have taken 10 EMIs, and you may delay in one month, you may delay for 2 EMIs, in second month you may delay for 2 EMIs, then your credit score will come down because you're delaying every time. Even the delay or non-payment, both are considered for determining your credit score.
And what are the ramifications of having a bad credit score?
So if you have a bad credit score, like today we are taking, say if you're taking a loan for a mobile or for a car or small things, right? Then the credit score, you will say, okay, it doesn't matter too much of credit score. But the problem is that in future, when you want to buy a big asset like a home, if you don't have a good credit score, you may not get a loan. If you want to start your own business and you want a business loan, you will not get a business. And I'm very sure incrementally in next 5-10 years, even the corporates will look at your credit score before hiring you, because they want to look at your how disciplined you are. Because what credit score tell you is that whether you're disciplined of paying your EMIs on time, whether you're disciplined to maintain your expenses on limit. If you're not able to do that, it says that you are indisciplined. And as a corporate, I may not like to hire an indisciplined guy.
Okay, so very far-reaching ramifications, not just simply on your interest or whether you'll get the loan, but even on your potential employers. This is something very, very interesting that we've heard, in fact, for the first time. When should it start ringing red flags for me? Suppose I have taken all this EMI and, you know, as our lifestyle is, I may not even recognize or realize that I have taken on such debt. So when should it start, you know, ringing alarm bells? What quantum of EMI is, you know, too much?
So how you should start is that you get your monthly salary for your monthly EMIs. If you see that, okay, by the end of 25th, all your money in the bank balance is zero. Then you know the next 5 days how you're going to meet that. Right? So that's a very clear signal that you are running out of money, and then every time you're struggling with managing a monthly expense at the last minute. That's a very clear first signal that your EMIs are more than what you can afford it. Right? Second, what we can say is that if you say, for example, if you want to just take an exercise that, okay, if I don't go for work for 2 months, how my expenses will look like. And then you realize that you are not able to meet your monthly expenses and you will have to default on your EMIs. That's a very clear signal that because if you default on EMIs, the asset will go away to the lender, and then you may have to face a jail, or you may have to other implication on that. So these are two signals. If I do a ball thumb park number, beyond 40% as your loan, as your EMI of your salary is a clear warning signal that it should not cross 40%. When bank is also doing your calculation when they want to give a loan, They also check that, okay, if your salary is so much, your EMI should not be more than 35 to 40% of your take-home salary. If it is more than that, they won't approve the loan. So that's a broad signal what you need to look at. As an individual, keep a limit of 35 to 40%. Beyond 40%, do not cross your EMIs.
Okay, so what can then viewers do to essentially avoid taking on debt? I mean, see, your salary is this much, but there are times when your expenses are ballooned. I think you've mentioned deferring your goal. I mean, is that really a viable solution then?
See, there are two things. Why we take a loan, we have to understand that part. One is that something which is emergency. Like if it's say there's an emergency, medical emergency at home.
It's unavoidable.
Or you met you met an accident and you have to pay for something. Those type of things can be avoided by taking insurance. So if you have a medical insurance, if you have a critical insurance, and if you have personal accident policy, if you have all these three insurance, then you never have to take a loan because of any medical emergencies, because insurance company will pay all the expenses. So medical emergencies can be avoided because by taking insurance. Then comes is that, okay, I want to go for a vacation. Okay, now I want to go for Europe vacation this year. So now I can't afford to pay for this year, so I take a loan. The other way of doing is that instead of going for vacation this year, you postpone for next year. Now you have like 12 to 14 months extra, right? In this next 14 months, try to save, okay, if I save 5,000 rupees a month or 10,000 rupees a month every month in a liquid fund, from my salary I can do that. If I keep on doing that, in next 1 year, I'll save around 1,20,000 rupees.
Almost,
which can be used to pay the vacation. And then you have to take a very small amount of loan instead of taking the full amount of loan to this year.
Avoiding instant gratification,
That's
which is
important.
the need of the hour, right? For all our Instagramming viewers out there.
That's right. So what I'll say, whenever you plan to do that, just take, or whether, like instead of international vacation, then you may think that, okay, this year I may go for domestic vacation, next time I take international vacation. So at times you have to compromise on those things.
Your lives,
right? But it's good because the implication of this one is very, very huge, and we have recently realized that. Because if debt comes on your head, then you are not able to meet your daily expenses, and your personal life will also go for a jeopardy.
Okay, all right. Thank you then, Nikhil, for all your golden words of wisdom. It is something that everyone should take note of. All those lessons that Nikhil has said, all the questions that you should ask yourself before taking on debt. We'll take a very quick break right here on the show, and when we come back, we are going to be telling you what that TMS Savings Challenge is all about. Stay tuned. Hi everyone, welcome back. You're watching The Money Show on ET Now, and it's finally that time of the show when I'm going to reveal that mega big exclusive TMS Savings Challenge. We've been chewing your brains all week about what it is, and I'm finally going to reveal all. TMS Savings Challenge is simply put about saving money. But I guess the name itself must have suggested that to you. Now, why do we believe savings are so important? Well, it's not just enough to be earning a lot of money to get rich. You also need to be spending properly and saving money adequately, because that too is a very important financial component to get you rich. Hence, we at ET Now decided to come up with the hashtag TMS Savings Challenge. And I want all of you, regardless of your gender, regardless of your age, regardless of your income group, to participate, because this is something as simple as 1, 2, 3, and everybody can take part in this. And not just that, even challenge all your spendthrift friends and relatives out there who you think need to take up a challenge like this. And I'm not talking about big ticket challenges or big ticket savings. I'm talking about your daily habits where you do end up saving money. All of this can seem very small on a daily basis, but in the long run can lead to you making big savings. For example, this morning I decided that instead of buying my coffee from a cafe outside, I'll just simply use the brew that we get from our office machine. What I decided to do then is take a picture of myself with my coffee cup. Now, this coffee cup will be your journey to take you forward in the TMS Savings Challenge. This picture has to be uploaded on your Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter page. Don't forget to tell us how you managed to save money. For example, I'm going to tweet this right now saying, that I managed to save almost 200 rupees by deciding to make my own coffee right here in office. I will also hashtag TMS Savings Challenge. I can also tag ET now, and I will put in the names of my friends who I believe need to take up a challenge like this because they spend a lot of money. If you need more inspiration on how you can save money every day, I decided that I'm going to just get into the newsrooms of Mirror Now and ET Now and get a gist of how all our anchors out here are saving money. So follow me. Okay, I've spotted Mirror Now anchors Viren and Avni. Let's find out what they have to say. Hi Viren, so how are you planning to take part in the TMS Savings Challenge?
Well, one thing I certainly do is I prefer not to have bottled water, so I carry my own bottle. Saves the environment, saves some money, and not just that. Well, I prefer carpooling because that just saves you a lot of money rather than and saves the environment as well. Not taking a cab yourself, 4 or 5 people share a car and head on your way home.
Well, my favorite, environment and money. 2 birds with 1 stone. Let's also find out from Avni. And Avni herself is a personal finance expert, by the way, a doyen of Mirror Now. So Avni, how are you going to take part here?
Well, today I in fact walked to work. Luckily I stayed very close by, but nonetheless it's a 3-4 kilometer walk and I saved 120 rupees that I paid by taxi.
Well, leave it to them to be able to club 2 causes, not just staying healthy but also saving money. Come on. Okay, hi Arun. So tell us, for our hashtag TMS Savings Challenge, how have you decided to save money?
I'm going to start using my friends' Netflix and Amazon accounts and public transport.
Okay, Netflix and Amazon account, but of your friends and also public transport. Let's get in some more views. Sumit Lakhotia, how are you planning to save money?
Well, I already saved a little money, so what I did is I bought some kabaddi tickets, going for kabaddi, and I bought the tickets online, because of which I got a movie voucher, so $200 or something with that. So I got a movie voucher for $200 by buying tickets online.
In fact, let's also find out how the ET Now anchors are doing for our challenge. So how are you saving money today?
How am I saving money today? By eating home food, not ordering out. Also, by default, a friend cancelled the evening plan, so I'm guessing I'm going to save some more money today.
That's a lot of money saved. Abha, what about you? How are you saving money?
I guess maybe not spending at the gym, maybe going for a run, especially when I have a beautiful bandstand near the sea, take in the good weather and the fresh air. Hopefully it won't be raining. That's how I'm saving money.
Well, if that was an inspiration for the TMS Savings Challenge, then I don't know what is. But like I said, folks, it's very, very simple. All you have to do is every time you save money, suppose, for example, you decide to take a train ride instead of a cab, click a picture of yourself with that ticket. Be proud of the money that you have saved. Post it on Instagram, and don't forget to use the hashtag TMS Savings Challenge. And most importantly, if you have any friends that really need to curtail their expenses, then you must tag them and challenge them to take on the TMS Savings Challenge. But if you still need more inspiration on how you can save money every single day, well, we decided to compile a couple of videos. Take a look at that. That 3.3%. So let's talk then first. 3%. be waiting by my phone, watching out for who's been saving money and who's not. And of course, like we said, the 3 most creative ideas, or in fact, just the most creative ideas of saving money will be featured on ET Now social media handles. And of course, right here on the Money Show itself. So stop thinking, start saving, and get ready to get rich. With that, it's a wrap on the Money Show. Thanks for watching.